Today on Genetic Education Podcast, we have a very special guest, a scientist who has received India's highest scientific honor. We are honored to welcome Dr.
Thank you very much for this initiative. For the last 3 decades, I've been working on the population genetics plus understanding genetic basis of some of the diseases. Through our research, we identified that unfortunately we could not do at that time because it was very expensive to sequence every single genome. 20 different institutes which are part of this program. We are not very sure that which route the modern human have migrated out of Africa. That's one of the interesting findings which has been highlighted by all media. We have demonstrated was that all the population in India are all admixed. Population genetics is very, very complex. We identified 4 different populations, continue to do so and spread the scientific knowledge.
Today on Genetic Education Podcast, Raw and Real, we have a very special guest, a scientist who has received India's highest scientific honor and a globally recognized figure, leading name in the country's genetic community. We are honored to welcome Dr. K. Thangaraj, sir. Thank you so much, sir, for such a prompt reply for our podcast, sir.
So thank you very much for this initiative. I think
Thank you so much, sir. Sir needs no introduction, yet it's worth highlighting a few of Sir's exceptional achievements. Dr. K. Thangaraj, sir, is a Bhatnagar Fellow right now at CCMB Hyderabad. With over 3 decades of research experience, Dr. K. Thangaraj, sir, made groundbreaking contribution to the population genetics, human genetics, evolutionary biology, and so many other interdisciplinary genetic fields. Sir has published over 300 peer-reviewed articles, books and book chapters, and honored with prestigious national and international awards. The list of achievements, honors, and awards, projects, scientific achievements of Sir is so long. We cannot cover it in a single podcast. But Sir, a warm welcome from our side, and I am truly honored to speaking with you right now. Also, I am a bit nervous and excited as well. So we want to first know on which project currently you are working at CCMB and what areas of research excite you right now the most.
For the last 3 decades, I've been working on the population genetics plus understanding genetic basis of some of the diseases, including cardiovascular diseases, a broad spectrum of mitochondrial disorders, infertility, and few more. So whatever the information we gathered during the last 3 decades, which is now useful, contribute something to the society. Through our research, we identified that there could be a population-specific recessive disease in India for at least 1/3 of the population. So we are now investigating a lot of time, lot of energy into identifying the populations which are having population-specific mutations, particularly recessive mutation, responsible for causing population-specific recessive diseases. So that is my current research interest. I'm really happy that so whatever we have done so far in the laboratory, now we are transforming that for the public health. Right? That's what is my future research plan.
Yes, sir. And that is also our objective as well, that spreading the innovative genetic discovery to the society. Let them know that what actually scientists are doing in India to improve the healthcare, improve the societal, we can say, impact, and that is what we are doing right now. Yes, sir. My next question is about the Genome India Project. We read so many things about Genome India Project. It's a very, we can say, very large project. But I want to know about the backstory and the challenges you face when you were establishing or your team was involved in establishing the project.
It's one of the important projects funded by Department of Biotechnology, Government of India. In fact, after human genome was sequenced, there are several countries have started genome sequence of their own people. But unfortunately, we could not do at that time because it was very expensive to sequence every single genome. Now things have changed. So with that background, actually some time ago, Professor P.J. Lakshmi, she was director of Center for brain research, which is housed in Indian Institute of Science. She has initiated this and she invited group of scientists, including me. We went and discussed how we can evolve a large project to generate Indian genome sequence, which would be useful for scientific community as well as the clinical community, and also in a broader level, it will be also useful in the future for the companies which are developing drugs, right? So in that perspective, so we discussed and evolved this project and approached the Department of Biotechnology, and Department of Biotechnology has gone through and revised the proposal, and there are 20 different institutes which are part of this program. And very recently, we have completed that, and the Honorable Prime Minister of India has announced the completion of 1,000 genome sequence very recently. So this is going to be very, very useful for not only the scientific community, and also those who are closely working with diagnostics, closely working with developing drugs, closely working with understanding the infection and infectious diseases, and so on. So it's going to be very, very important in terms of science and also in terms of the society.
Yeah, thank you so much, sir, for providing insight about the Genome India project. And we know how important this project is in terms of understanding the diversity of genetic diversity of India. Now, your work on population genetics has revealed fascinating stories about human migration and ancestry. So, what have we learned from the genetic research that you have done about the India's history in terms of genetics?
That's very interesting question. It's also interesting for anybody who's going to listen this, right? Everybody generally asks question about our own origin, right? Where we have come from. I mentioned earlier that we have been working in this field for last 3 decades, and we looked at the genetic diversity of hundreds of populations. And briefly, I can say that what we understood from the study, we understood that the first modern human arose in Africa, but until our findings, we are not very sure that which route the modern human have migrated out of Africa. So our study on the Andaman tribal populations, I don't know whether you are aware that there are 4 tribal groups in Andaman and Nicobar Islands who typically look like Africans, right? With the dark skin colors, curly hair, and so on. Two population who are similar to Southeast Asia, particularly the people who are looking like Africans. So they are the one most interesting. And we looked at their mitochondrial genome, and we came to the conclusion that based on the mutations, that they are the first modern human who have migrated out of Africa about 65,000 years back.
Okay.
So that's one of the interesting finding which has been highlighted by all media, including National Geographic and many more international media. So from there, some groups stayed during the migration. Some groups stayed in southern part of India. We also named them as ancestral South Indians. Some group stayed in southern part of India. Some group migrated to Andaman and Nicobar Islands. Some stayed there. Some migrated to Australia, the Australian Aborigines, or in the same lineage and migrated. Subsequently, what we have shown that there were a second wave of migrations from Africa towards north, and from there one group has gone to Europe, other group has come to northern part of India. So that's where the mutation must have took place, which turned our skin color to lighter skin color. So then they have come to northern part of India, and these are the 2 founding populations of Indian subcontinent: South Indians and ancestral North Indians. So this happened, as I said, 65,000 years here and maybe 45,000 years back. Then these 2 founding groups have migrated towards on the other side. Ancestral South Indian migrate towards north, ancestral North Indian migrated towards south. And there was an admixture. Okay, that is a very clear evidence. If you look at the skin color, right? If you look at south, there are population what typically having very dark skin color, and people on the other side, north, they have very, very light skin color. And in between, you can see gradient of color, right? Mixing 2 different colors, black and white, then you can have different shades, right? That's what we see today. People in India, you have see that in many parts of the world have gradient of colors. That itself shows that how genetically we are admixed. So what we are actually we have demonstrated was that all the population in India are all admixed. Right? There is no single population except the Andaman tribes showing anything very distinct. We are all sharing genetic affinities. Okay, that's very important for people to understand. So that is the second stage that we have shown. Then the third stage, because the admixture took place during 2 to 4,000 years back, but after that, for the last 2,000 years, every single population, as you know very well, maintaining the endogamy, means marrying within that population. So what happens for the last 2,000 years in our genome is we all gain mutation randomly, genetic change. Because people marrying within the community, it could be either caste or tribes or religious group, whatever. Because they're marrying within the community, whatever the mutation happen in one particular community, it's going to remain there because they're not marrying other community. Therefore, it's not passing on to the next community. I'm talking whatever the mutation happened in the recent past, the last 2,000 years. There are certain mutation which is very old that you would see in almost every single population. But there are certain mutation which arose after people started maintaining the endogamy. So in that process, if there is a mutation which is responsible for causing the disease, so that mutation is going to be only within that particular population. That is what now we predicted based on the genetic analysis, because certain populations share, every individual which we analyze share almost the same genetic, right? That when we call technically we call as identity by descent score, IDT score. That means every single population you take, the more number of people share a same stretch of sequence, we call as haplotype, and maybe 10 kb or 20 kb region. That means they all come from a common ancestor. There's a mutation which took place maybe 10, 20 generation back. So that mutation would pass on generation after generation. It is a dominant mutation. Those who carry the mutation will show the disease, right? But if it is a recessive mutation, because the recessive mutation will express the disease only when both the copies of the chromosome carry the mutation in a homozygous condition. So we predicted that in India, the recessive mutations, which are population specific, are responsible for causing recessive disease are common. And we have identified in the recent past, there are several populations who are carrying a population specific recessive mutation responsible for causing population specific recessive disease. Okay, so that's what is now our focus, to identify those population, identify those mutations, that how we can help the society for avoiding such mutation in the future by screening for that mutation, giving appropriate counseling at 2 stages. One, the mother is the carrier, father is also carrier. There's a possibility that the children who gain the abnormal chromosome, one from the father, one from the mother, therefore have the disease. So we are now looking at both way. One is looking at prenatal stage, also premarital. Therefore, this mutation can be avoided transmitting to the next generation. Therefore, we can avoid the disease. That is what is current.
Our entire population, the diversity that we have in India, is actually, we can say in conclusion, is shaped by the migration and the endogamy and the climate that we have. All of these factors collectively contributed to provide, we can say, variation in diversity in India.
Absolutely. I talked about the founding population. In addition to that, there are populations who have migrated very recently, like the Siddhis, Jewish population, and many more. And even after migration, they have admixed with the local Indians.
Okay.
So that is happening very fast. So that's why Indian population studies, looking at the population genetics, is very, very complex.
So, sir, can you share some genetic insight about your recently published paper on endogamy and the genetic analysis? What you observe or what you reported during that research at a genetic level that is very unique in India?
I mentioned some time ago that we predicted that could be a one third of the population, right, carrying a population specific mutation responsible for population specific disease. So we have identified a few populations from where we predicted who are having high IPD score, identified score. That means who share more common haplotype, large number. We identified four different populations and went back, collected more samples, and we did the exome sequencing and identified, in fact, out of four, three of them carry a population specific mutation. So one of the population is carrying mutation which is causing a very, very rare skin disease. So one of the problem with this is the disease is very, very severe in nature, and some of the disease are lethal at very early age. So the children won't survive beyond few months after the birth. So one more thing which I wanted to tell to the those who are listening is some of the diseases which are very lethal. You go to the population, you may not see any individual surviving with the disease because they die at very early age. In a given point of time, if you go to that particular population, you may see that they're all healthy, but most of them are carrying the mutation, potentially transmitting to the next generation. And when both the parents, mother and father, who are healthy today, but carrying the mutation, pass on the abnormal chromosome to the next generation, there's a disease, right? So that's one. So another population we found there's a ankylosing spondylitis, right, at very high frequency in a particular region of the population. There's one more population which is having a mutation potentially causing cardiac issue, right? So we are now investigating those populations. At a given time, there's no one surviving with that disease in a certain population. But of course, some are surviving. It's not lethal, but they have to suffer no, during adulthood. Some are late onset, some are very early onset.
Yeah, I guess I understand how difficult it is to study the Indian population because it's so diverse and there are so many, we can say, sub grouping as well. So it's very amazing, we can say, research that you are doing, sir. And we are hoping that we'll find something very novel about Indian population and endogamy. And our last question, sir. Finally, we want to know what you want to tell to the next generation scientists, the young generation scientists, to inspire them. Just tell us a few words.
It's very, very exciting time to work in India.
Definitely, sir. Yes, yes.
Because we have very healthy funding for the research. Well, if you are asking genetic research, we, as we discussed, we just started doing 10,000 genome and we observed large number of variations which are Indian specific. We just finished only 10,000 individuals from 83 populations. We have populations of 4,635. We have a lot more to do. And younger colleagues or students who wanted to invest their time in genetic research, I think it's the best time to do that. And I would encourage those who wanted to know what in the field of genetics, particularly human genetics. I think it's a very, very exciting time. So
Yeah, thank you so much, sir, for guiding us, provide us the research insight from your current research and also inspiring a new generation of scientists. We are heartily thankful to you to join us today and best of luck for the future research projects that you will do. Thank you so much, sir.
thank you very much for this interview and continue to do so and spread the scientific knowledge.
Definitely, definitely, sir.
Thank you. Thank you very much.